So when we play our game, you can see here that our player is able to run around, and he should have his motion limited at the top of the screen, the sides of the screen, the bottom of the screen, and the left side of the screen. Now there's still an issue here. If you take a look at my bottom sensor, you can see it's right here where it's supposed to be, right? It's hard to see, but if you look closely. And then my top is where he's supposed to be, at the top of the head of the character. But if you notice here, you can actually see the sprites moving, right? So I go up, the main character is going to be limited by this top area here, but the sensor sprites will not be limited. They will continue moving up, and you could see it. You see, here's one sensor, here's another sensor. If I keep moving up, you can see here the sensors, they're moving up. The character is limited by the top of the screen, but the sensors are not, so they're going to continue moving up. I pressed it, I'm going to press it again, right there and there. They're going to keep moving until they get stopped by Scratch's limit on their movement, which is the top of the screen. So they're going to keep moving, right? And that's not good. We want these sensors also to be limited by the top, the sides, and the bottom of the screen, right? So if the player can't move, then the sensors shouldn't be able to move either. All right. And so how can we fix this up? Well, the player is limited by his X position and his Y position, right? His movement is limited. So we can use those same inequalities for all of our sensors, but in order to do that, our sensors will need to know the player's X position and the player's Y position. Okay. The way that Scratch is currently set up, only the sprite, the player, knows his X position and his Y position. Okay. But our sensors need to know the player's X position and the player's Y position. So the sensor can say, only move up if the, what is it right here? Only move up if the player 1's Y position is less than 155. So we can add the same inequality. So how are we going to get the player 1's X position and Y position visible to the sensors that are surrounding the player 1? Well, what we can do is we can add a variable. Okay, and this is going to be P1 X position, and we're going to add another one called P1 Y position. Okay, and when the green flag is clicked, we can say set X and set Y to where the player currently is, and we know where he is. He's right here because we said go to. So the X is going to be negative 59, and the Y is going to be 5, and that's great and that works. But what if the player moves around? Right? Then our variable X and our variable Y should also reflect the player moving around. So when does the player move around? Here, 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 and here. So what we can do is we could say change our X by negative 5 when the player's X changes by negative 5. We could say change the Y by negative 5 when the player's Y changes by negative 5, and so on. So I want to put this here, and I want to say change by 5. I want to put this here and say change the X by 5, and now we're good to go, and our X and Y positions should be the same as the variables that we made. So let's go ahead and check that out. So right now they're the same, right? We got 5 and negative 59, negative 59, and now I'm going to move around the screen, and these should stay the same. So the X position is 56, the Y position is 85. So that's working. I move over here. The Y position is negative 115, and the X position is 161. Right? That works. So this is working. All right. And so that's the first step to getting the sensors to not move when the player reaches the borders.